Our first presenter is Ross House, and he will be speaking on Can One Seed Change the World? So let's welcome Ross. Thank you.
On the side.
Yeah. Yep.
As she said, I'm Ross House. I've been involved in the agricultural industry all my life. I've grown up in Indiana on a 6th-generation farm. I'm a 10-year 4-H member, and I'm here at Illinois Central College not only to be on the livestock judging team, but also to further my education in this field. Now, my ultimate goal today is to help break down that wall between the producer, or the farmer, and the consumer, you. Now, first, let's all go back to our childhood. We went to the grocery store with our mom. Of course we did. And as you sit up in the cart, you go up and down the aisles, and Mom, I want the Ho-Hos, Mom, I want the Cheetos, I want this, and finally, she took you out of the cart because you're being annoying, and the cart's full. You go ahead and take your groceries home. You sit around the table with your family, and you have a meal, and then you put your leftovers in the fridge for later. Now, doesn't that sound like the perfect episode of Brady Bunch? But what if I tell you that food security will never happen again? So let's go on back to that same grocery store. But this time, your mom locks you in the car. And she runs in, she goes to the produce aisle, and now there's only 2 cans of corn. I'm going to rush over to the butcher's counter, and you took the last slice of ham. And she goes over to the cashier to reluctantly find that empty cart costs as much, if not even more, than that full cart that we were used to. Now, I'm here to say as an agriculturist that there's a problem, there's a flaw, there's an explosion waiting to happen, and it's our hands on the trigger. Now, it just comes down to the simple fact of a food chain. Species are allowed to grow when resources are plentiful. As those resources die off, species die off. The circle of life, it continues. We, as a human race, have been able to avoid that problem through the domestication of plants and animals. We have been able to grow so exponentially. From the early 1800s, we've added 6 billion people to this earth. And estimated in 2050, there will be 16 billion people. And I'm here to say that agriculture cannot support that big of a number right now. But there is a solution, and it's that one seed. It's a GMO seed. Now, many of you grimace at the idea, and many of you respect it. But first, what is a GMO? It's called a genetically modified organism. And this is through gene splicing and the transfer of different DNAs. As you can combine plants, you can combine animals to form something greater. You can make things more profitable. You can make things more economical through these changes through GMOs. Now, GMO, or in other terms, evolution, has been around since the beginning of time. But we, as the human race, took evolution in our own hands in 1983. The Flavor Saver tomato was the first GMO in food production. And through this tomato, you could harvest it, and it would ripen slowly so you could have a fresh product when sent to market. Now, as Armstrong once said, this is one small step for man, but one leap for mankind. That tomato was our first step, but now we're able to jump, we're able to leap over problems we couldn't do before. We're able to solve problems we thought were impossible through GMOs. And I'll give you an example. I'm sure many of you have seen commercials through Central Africa. They're stricken by poverty and stricken by hunger. And there's an epidemic going with a lack of vitamin A in their youth. And children are becoming blind, sometimes even losing their life. Well, there's a product on Monsanto shelves. It's called Golden Rice. And it's gene spliced to be added biocarotene and vitamin A. And the product is still on Monsanto shelves because the public doesn't want it to be spread. In Bangladesh and in Indonesia, there's been problems of flooding through the past decade, possibly because of our changing climate. There's been a scientist that was able to take a genome, only one genome out of this rice, and it's able to grow underwater for more than 18 days, completely submerged. And normally, you would cut your product into thirds. You only have 1/3 of your product left. Now, it's 150% fold of what they're used to before. That's so much more grain being able to produce. But GMOs is not only in the food industry. If any of you are diabetic, insulin is a GMO. We no longer have to crush the pancreases of cattle and hogs to produce insulin. It is now artificially made. And as I said, I'm from Indiana, so what do I see when I drive back and forth those 6 hours? I see farmland. But if we have 16 billion people, where are they going to live? that farmland continues to shrink as we see it today. GMOs help us to be more economical with less resources. So now, what can you do? My goal is to make the consumer become educated, understand more, and don't let media sway what you think. I once listened to a great speaker. He said, if you deny the technology of this world of GMOs, you're literally straining its chances of living. So why don't we celebrate its 40 years of advancement? Why don't we congratulate the 2% of people in the United States are qualified as farmers that feed 98% of you? It's an amazing number. Why don't we be happy about the use of lower pesticides and fertilization through the use of GMOs? Because let's face it, we took that one step to make that one seed, to hopefully have that one meal, because guess what? We only have that one world. Thank you.